Okay, so we have created a TestNG test case with two methods. Okay, now what I will do is you must have right click. You can right click on this and say run as TestNG. Okay, so if you go to this particular tab, you will see that it shows two test cases run, 1 and 2. Okay, they give the name of the test cases, and if you go to console, it gives a report that this is your system.out and the test cases, these two they have passed. Okay, and it shows some other output also, right? So basically what you have done is that you have executed two test cases using TestNG. Now inside of these test cases or these methods, you could have put your own logic to do whatever you wanted to do. Now we have introduced something called annotations. At the rate is an annotation of Java. One second. Okay, at the rate, what is inside this priority, don't worry about that, we will come back to it later. So at the rate test is an annotation, and that annotation tells TestNG that I want to run this as a test case. That is all I have done. Okay, so you have basically run two test cases. Now I will do what? I will refresh this project of mine and I will go to a location called test output here on the left side, and then inside that there is a file called index.html. Okay, so I will open that file. I will copy this path and I will open this in a browser. So let's say I open it here. Okay, so you will see that this has some kind of a report that is generated for the test case that were executed. So report is basically, this is some info and this is result. Let's look at basically in my case there is only one test. So I click on the test. It says default test is one class. One second. Sorry. Yeah, so okay, one second. So let me click at two methods. Result is two methods, two passed. I'll click at this link. So it shows me the two methods which I have executed, this and this, and it is part of this is test 1. Okay, this is, I clicked on this. Okay, it is highlighted. Then the next one is TestNG2. It is this. Okay, so basically clicking on this shows me the test cases that have got executed. After that there is an option to click at chronological view. It means it shows you the order in which the test cases were executed. So first this got executed, ng2, then ng1. Okay, fine. Ignore method. So ignore method is a option wherein you might have chosen to ignore some method. So basically this reports what it does, it gives you a snapshot of what has happened. Once we start to work on more complex test cases, it will have more result added to it. Okay, so if you look at times, number is 0, 1, TestNG time taken is basically, it shows that amount of time that is got that was taken to execute these test cases. So basically, though it's a very small snapshot for now, but when you have to execute thousands of test cases, and you will just run your test cases and maybe go for the day and then come back next day and see the report, it will tell you what all test cases got passed, what failed, how much time was taken, what is the order in which they executed. So that is a really useful report. I mean, you don't have to actually sit in front of machine and execute one by one manually as we had been doing so far. You just in this case what you do is you run your test cases and that's just about it. But of course you have to write your Selenium automation code so that all of this works as you are expecting it to work. Okay, so we continue further with TestNG. Now there are a lot of annotations which we have to look at as a part of TestNG framework. Annotation, what is an annotation? As I told you, annotation is basically some piece of code which gives instruction to, in this case TestNG, that do some things for me. Okay, so we have before suit, after suit, before test, before group, after group, all of this we will look at it one by one as we address them in the code. If I explain now, it will not be really very clear. Okay, so let's look at a piece of code which I'll share with you people. There is something called priority. So in this particular case, in this test case, okay, this is my test case. Okay, so this is a test case I have. Now if I run this test case, what will happen? It will execute in alphabetical order, alphabetical orders of the method. Okay, so let me run this test case. I'll right click it and I run it. Okay, so you will be able to see that in the console first ng1 ran and then ng2 ran. Okay, it might happen that I want to change the priority or the order in which they get executed. So I can pass the second test case with priority 1 and this with priority 2. So first this one will run. The one with the lower priority is executed before the test cases with higher priority. Okay. So if I rerun this test case again, you will see that order will get changed. So let me run it again, run as TestNG. You will see that order is become test. Okay, so it has become ng2 and ng1. Okay, now you can have priority 0 or minus also, or multiple methods with same priority. So if it is same priority, they are executed one after the other, again alphabetically. Okay, it can be 0, it can be minus also, but it has to be a number.
Sir, alphabetically or top to bottom?
No, not alphabetically. If you sort alphabetically the method names, then in that order it will get executed. Okay, so we will move further. Now for now we will not look at this. Okay, so what I will do, I will send you two files basically, and we will try to understand those files, the order of execution. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you some code to look at. So this is my code. Okay, now in this it is very self-explanatory that I have test case 1, test case 2, test case 3, test case 4. Okay, so they will get executed in which order? Alphabetic order. So what we generally do is that in our test cases we create Firefox instance and then we do whatever we want to do. So if you look at and try to run this test case, the problem that will happen is that the order will be determined alphabetically. So what should happen before the other is not fixed. So if I try to run this particular test case, run as, let's say what happens. Okay, it failed somewhere. So what happened? It directly went to first it opened browser and then it went to this particular method. Okay, so basically the order is not really very clear. So what I did after that, I created one more test case in which I defined order. So what it means is, so in this case I define priority 1, this open the browser, priority okay, 2 is basically launch Google, and then 3 is in the text box type Facebook, and then perform send keys I have done. After that you need a click here and then do some assertion. So can you all try these two execution of these files and understand, and then we will continue further. Try to copy the files, don't type the whole thing, it will take a lot of time. So just copy paste. For now you just have to understand the logic. Other things we will address later.
एटोमिक क्या है? उसमें मैंने क्या बताया कि जो भी फंक्शनलिटी है उसके लिए अलग अलग एक क्लास बनाओ या फिर अलग अलग पैकेज बनाओ, ठीक है? तो इसमें हम
when the program will work, then you will not worry much, but if a program does not work as it happened just now, you should be able to figure out कि problem क्या हुआ है, ठीक है? So मैंने तुम लोगों को बताया था किस ऑर्डर में रन करता है, अल्फाबेटिक ऑर्डर में. So initially it was showing that first test case run and second में fail हो गया था, but I was not convinced. मतलब what I am trying to say is I felt that there is something wrong. So मैंने क्या किया, what I did is basically I went ahead and put a system.out.println in this method so that I can see some output is coming, and then I put some output here also. Okay, so that once the output is coming, I know that when method is getting executed, if this output comes first, it means this is getting executed first, right? Another way I can do is I can put a breakpoint. I told you are not there. So what I would do, as a part of learning, it is very important that you should be able to figure out problem also, why it is happening, where it is breaking. That is where it will really decide whether you have learned any programming or whatever skill you want to learn. So what I will do, I will double click here and put a breakpoint. I will put a breakpoint in every method, or rather at the beginning of every method. So here I put a breakpoint at the beginning, here I put it, here I put it, and here I put it. Okay, breakpoint is basically a way to do some debugging, to understand maybe flow. So then I say, I right click, let's see, it has debug as, not run as, debug as TestNG. I clicked here, it will switch the perspective. I'll say yes, and you will see it came here. I did F6, then I did F8. Okay, this is priority I'm running, sorry. I had to run no priority, sorry. So I put here breakpoint, I put here breakpoint. here at the beginning of the method, or at method level I have done. Okay, then I right click and I say debug as TestNG test. I say yes. So you see the control has come directly here. No priority. Directly it is come here. Right? So before executing this method, it came here. Alphabetically, capital F comes before O or L or P. Okay? So it came here and driver is not initialized, it is null. So that is why it is throwing null pointer exception. Samjha Punit? Yes, no? If you have not understood, I can explain again. You understood? No.
ये सर फर्स्ट पहला ओपन ब्राउजर वाला उसमें मेथड कॉल किया देन वो
No, in this case you will see that control directly came to this method and driver is null, so it is throwing null pointer exception.
सर नल पॉइंटर मतलब वो रिटर्न नहीं कर रहा है वो मेथड
See, null pointer exception is when you are trying to use an object which has not been initialized. So first of all you should say driver dot create instance of that particular driver, Firefox driver, and then only you can find element. So without this line getting executed or this method getting executed, control came here and it saw that this is null, so it throws null pointer exception. Is it clear now?
ये अल्फाबेटिकल ऑर्डर में चलना चाहिए. ओपन जो ब्राउजर है वो फर्स्ट कैसे एग्जीक्यूट होगा?
F, this is capital F, this is small o. Capital numbers, capital alphabets have lower ASCII value than small. Okay? Yes, no?
बट सर यहाँ पे तो फिर पहले ये वाला फील्ड वेरिफिकेशन मतलब टाइटल वेरिफिकेशन वाला मेथड कॉल है मेरे केस में.
हाँ सर तो
Title verification. Actually that is what the problem is. In output it showed as but I was still confused. Actually that did not happen. Output somehow showed open browser. That is why I also got confused, and that's why I wrote system.out.println. So in that you saw it gave driver equal to null as output. So it means basically this is the one which is getting executed first, right? So a lot of times you also have to learn how to identify a problem that has happened. Just because something is happening, it might not be like that. That is why I put a breakpoint here in all the methods, and I saw my control directly coming to this method and not this method.
So in starting we told that if the case is failed, and also it will.
So some test cases are not dependent on other test cases. Then in that case, if one is failing, you can still continue. But in this case, what is happening?
Dependent upon other.
The cases are dependent. You open a browser, you type text in the text box and click on search, and then once it goes to next page, find some text on that particular page or get the title. So they are all dependent. If one is failing, the other should also fail, or we should skip rest of the test cases, right? So this decision of whether you should continue or not, it has to be decided. It is decided based upon what you are actually trying to do.
हमें पता है कि ऐसा TestNG को नहीं पता.
It is just a program, right? Any computer is a dumb machine. It will do what you tell it to do. Okay, so now the power of TestNG comes from the fact that it has a lot of flexibility, in sense that this is not only what it can do a lot of things which we are going to look at. What I can do is I can define an XML file, and in that XML file I can tell that out of so many test cases, run only these test cases for me. Or I have file 1, file 2, file 3, file 4. In that I can choose whether I want to run only 2 files, or in those 4 files, in this file run this method, in this file run this method. So I can do a permutation and combination of things. Plus I can also decide whether I want to run some test cases in parallel or some. So let's say I had 100 test cases, I want to run 20 simultaneously, another 20 simultaneously. So these are all the flexibility that is provided by TestNG, and that is what makes it as a very what you say, powerful and a successful testing framework. So let's look at a small XML file here. So don't worry about these first two lines. These are basically telling the XML version and the doc type. Okay, so I start with okay, let's okay, so let's look at this file. Okay, don't worry about these lines for now, this much. We will come back to it later. Okay, so there is an opening tag called suit and a closing tag called suit. Okay, in that I have defined two tests, one is this and one is this. In that I have given a name called Flipkart, and in this Snapdeal. In that I said execute this class and this. So basically I have created two tests, one is Flipkart, one is Snapdeal. In this I said run this particular class and one run this particular class. Okay, so now what I can do is I can now let's go to method class called Flipkart. So it goes inside here and it sees that it has a method one, and another one is Snapdeal, it also has a method. Okay, so what I can do, I can right click on this XML, right click and run as TestNG suite. Why it is possible? Because we have installed TestNG plugin in our Eclipse. So if I right click and run it, it will run. Okay, and some output will come. So let's look at the console first. Where is the console? Okay, this is the console. So don't worry if you cannot read it, you can try it on your machine. So you will see that this is the test case name which I gave in XML file. Okay, and this is basically the output of your method, and this is the open browser passed. So basically I have created an XML, and that XML helps me decide that which test cases I want to run. So this is a very simple example. I will send this file to you plus a Java file. Please execute it on your machines, and then we will keep adding to this XML file to understand how we can run test cases in parallel and different things we can do. Okay, so okay, please check your mail and try to execute those files. Okay, so if you have executed the TestNG XML file, you should see a lot of output for yourself. Plus I am refreshing the project again, and I am again going to that index test output index.html, and I am trying to view it here. Okay, so this time you will see that it please here guys. So what I have done, index.html again I have opened in the browser. So this time you will see that it says that this is the test suite I have run, TestNG parallel Flipkart Snapdeal. It has two tests. Okay, so if I click at that, it shows this is the name of the test which I had given in the suit XML file. Okay, chronological order. If I go, it says that inside Flipkart there is a method called open browser, and in this Snapdeal there is an open browser. Similarly, if I click here, it shows some other details also. Okay, so you can see that it gives a snapshot of things that has happened, right? You can click on the methods and view how many times it got executed, sorry, time which it took to run. So all those things, that kind of a report is available here. And how does it how is this report generated? Basically, TestNG is doing it for you. So there is this folder test output which is generated. It has index.html which has all these details. Fine. Is it clear? Okay. So
for checking that वो index.html फाइल को राइट क्लिक करके
no, I just right click properties. You can open index.html in browser, right? I copied this path and pasted in browser. So let's say suppose I run it now, after 5 days I run it, I can take backup of this output folder and then another output folder and compare the reports and all those things I can do. Okay, so now let's move further. Now the biggest power of TestNG is to be able to run the test cases in parallel. Okay, that is what the main motive of making use of TestNG is. So what is the benefit of running the test cases in parallel is basically it reduces the execution time, plus multiple threads are executing simultaneously. So let's have a look at that. So let's say I have this class okay, I have this class parallel method single class test, meaning it's just a naming I have used. So I have a single class which has two test method 1 and test method 2. Okay, now it has a annotation before method and after method. Before method is an annotation which makes this method get executed before any method is executed. Okay, and after means after all the method got executed, right? So I will just remind me, I will send the documentation for TestNG for you people to read. So I will go to this suite. Now this is important. Here I said suite name is test method suite, thread run it in parallel. Run what in parallel? Methods. And how many threads are supposed to be there? 2. Okay, so let's go back and look at this code. Now in this method I am also displaying the thread ID. How do we display the thread ID? I said thread.get current thread.get ID. It gives me the ID of the thread, and I am saying system.out.println. This is just to make sure that we understand that there are multiple threads. When I display ID, I will know which thread is running, right? So it has one method, it has another method. Now let me run this particular suite for you. And in this suite, what I have said parallel is method, number of threads are 2. Okay, so let's run it. I will run this, run as test suite. Okay, so you will see in the console, let's read this console. Okay, so this is the output of the console. Before test method, after test method. For one it is 12, one it is 13. Okay, then there is a method called 1 which is executing in thread 12, and method 2 executing in thread 13, and then after method for 13 and 12. So basically before, so what has happened is like this. So it was method called before test 1, test 2, and then after. Okay, so one thread executed this and another thread executed this. This is 12 and this is 13. Okay, so what we have done, we have executed basically this test case and this test case in two parallel threads. And why this also got executed? Because it is a different process in itself, and for that process to run, before and after has to get executed. Before is for before any method, after method is before after all any method. Sorry, before any method and after all the methods. Okay, all meaning, suppose there is 4-5 methods, and after all the 5 methods are executed, then after method
it's not like before method means method का execution से पहले चलेगा और method execute होने के बाद ही चलेगा.
For that there is before test, after test, which happens before and after each test case. Okay, so is this clear?
Sir, so this is आपने जो बताया वो method वाला था, test वाला
नहीं. Okay, so if you see that in this particular test, if I make the thread count as 1, what will happen? Then only one test case will execute both the tests.
both the thread, one thread will execute.
Yes, out of 2 only one will run down, or one will, because that is what I am doing here. Fine. One means that parallelism is gone. Okay. So what I will do is, I have to leave a little early today. I have 2 other scenarios I'll cover with you, and then I'll send code to you. You can play around with that code. Okay, and I will send one link I have sent on the group also. You are not in that IT job opportunities, wherein so basically I have written a blog. These are mostly the same things which I have covered or I am going to cover with you. So if you go to TestNG execution parallel test, it has some examples. So you can just read through this test, and the XML files are also available. Okay, so let's have a look at the next one. Now what I'm going to do is parallel. So just now what I did, in one class I had 2 methods. I ran 2 methods parallelly. Now I can have class 1, class 2. I want to execute classes parallelly. So let's look at that. Okay, so I have this class before, after. It has 2 tests. Okay, before is there, and okay, this class has 2 test cases, another class has again 2 test cases, and then I am defining a parallelism of classes. So what I did, suit, name of the suit, I said parallel. This time it is classes, last time it was method. So I said run in 2 test thread count is 2. Okay, so after that I specified in the classes what all classes are there, 1 and 2, right? So let's try to run this particular test case. I right click, I say run as suit. So let's see what is the output here. Okay, so you will see that in this there is a class. There are 2 threads, 12 and 13. 12 is for one particular class, and under that this method, they are of the same class. and the other one 13 is basically this and this, which is in the same class. Okay, so the difference is this time we have done is we have specified that parallel is classes and thread count is 2. Okay, then
तो there can be conflicts in the priority है।
हाँ
दो classes है,
हाँ
दोनों के method में priority हमने same दिया है।
हाँ
तो
उस
alphabet
उस टेस्ट केस का प्रायोरिटी अलग होगा उस क्लास का, उसका द अदर वन विल हैव डिफरेंट प्रायोरिटी. सो क्लास 1 क्लास 2 in this class the priority is for this thread, in the other one it is different thread. Okay, okay, so is it clear? We have earlier executed methods in a test case, and this time we are executing classes. So one class will have one thread, another class will have another thread. Okay, so then one more type we will look at. So actually it is the flexibility to do lot of things with TestNG that makes it as powerful as it is.
the XML level is the same.
No,
सर सपोज मीन्स जो कुछ चीज़ें भी मुझे एग्जीक्यूट करना है आई में, कुछ चीज़ें मुझे एग्जीक्यूट करना है क्रोम में, तो वो पैरेलली हम टेस्ट करके वो पैरेलली एग्जीक्यूट कर सकते हैं.
we'll come to that. Wait, so you are asking that
या एक ही फंक्शनैलिटी को दोनों वेब ब्राउज़र में टेस्ट करनी है, तो मैं पैरेलली एग्जीक्यूट करता हूँ वहाँ पे ये लॉजिक एग्जीक्यूट कर सकता हूँ.
so suppose you have class 1 for Firefox, class 2 for Chrome. Okay, in this one way is that in this class which we saw earlier, in this what I will do, here in this method I will create instance of Firefox, in the other one I create instance of Mozilla, sorry, instance of Firefox and Chrome or whichever. So then it will run in that one, it will run in this one. So that is hard coded. So there is an option of sending parameters from XML into your Java file or test cases, which will control whether you want to run it in Firefox or Internet Explorer. Okay, so earlier we had seen parameterization. Parameterization is basically where you pass parameters, priority is one of them. Okay, one thing I forgot to tell you is while working on parameterization, if you say enabled equal to true or false, that test case will be skipped if you say false. So see, actually there are a lot of things. I will send you something to read, you can read and try to understand. So priority wala, yeah, so let's say this one is there, priority I can say enabled is equals to false. So in that case this will not run. Okay, so this is a parameterization of TestNG, wherein you are passing different parameters to the method. Okay, so coming back here, let's look at this particular test case. Okay, suppose I create a test 1 and another test 2. Okay, now this time I am running tests, parallel is test and thread count is 2. Parallel is okay, test, then in that classes, okay, this is one suite, okay, another suite, okay, and in that test name value is 1 and 2. Okay, so in this what is happening is basically before I show this parallel test suite, okay, so let me show one. This is the file which I am trying to execute. Now see, the thing is this, there are so many ways to do things in TestNG. You might think I am not understanding or whatever. So it is not necessary that you will use everything which I am talking to you, but you should know that we have options like this to do. Later on, when you start to play with TestNG, it becomes easy for you. Okay. So like before test is there is another option in TestNG where you can pass parameters. So it means that from XML I pass a value for the so parameter name is test name. So if I copy and search for this here, you will see that I am passing parameter test name with the value called this. Okay, and it gets passed to the code for you, and then it's the usual execution happens. Okay, so what I will do, I'll send this code also to you to try it out and understand what is happening. If it's not clear, we will discuss about it tomorrow. Okay, so there is still more we can cover in TestNG, but we will not spend more time. I will send you some reading material, go through it, try to understand it and use it, and henceforth all our testing will be in TestNG only. There will be no main. Fine. Okay, so I will send this code to you in some time, and we will continue tomorrow.
And also that reading material.
Editing?
Reading material.
That I will send you. That I will send you today.
So ये वाला देखना पड़ेगा थोड़ा सा
Something, हाँ।
XML को।
मतलब ये लास्ट का पार्ट थोड़ा